a teamwork for the competent learning process, language and literature, as worked in the preschool and daycare of Turku, Finland. There were many approaches on how to work with literature and language. First project we had Whiskey the Spider. It was working with an Italian children's song. Secondly, memory training and more. Different ways of working language. Talk and read shows even more approaches. Theater and storytelling. Visualizing the language through playing theater. Then a rhyme and with visual aid. Using visual aid to support the memorizing of the rhymes. And finally, number 6, filming stories. The children created and recorded their own stories. Whiskey the Spider. It started out with the children taking interest in how many languages they already knew. Then the teacher suggested them to learn an Italian children's song. So they went through the song, looked at different animated versions of it, and then of course they learned the movements, they learned the lyrics, and finally they sang it. Here on the side you also see them playing a web. That's a game, a word game, where you start with a word, you cast the yarn over to next, and they have to start their word on the letter that the last word ended with, and on they built the web. Instead of treating the theme as one big whole, you can divide it up into small parts and have them overlap, and in that way increase the effect of the theme. Like this talk and read. One part was what they called Who Am I? And I had a big mirror and had the children to go there and look at myself. How do I look? How does my eyes look? My hair? How do I look when I'm happy? How do I look when I'm sad? And in that way, get a clearer picture of what you express. Or dinosaur soup. When children are playing, anything can happen. Anything can become everything. And you can use it as a stepping stone in your work, taking ideas from there and helping to work with words, to memory, and whatever. The opportunities are endless. Sign as support is when you use one clear picture of an emotion, of an activity or something, and use it as foundation of putting words onto that. It's a great aid in developing the language. Visualizing the story. Use gadgets or things around that, things that belongs to the story. Show them while you're telling the story. It helps the kids to create the inner images and connect them with the words. Draw and tell. Of course, children loves to draw, but use their drawing to speak about it. What have they drawn? How did they feel, etc. And of course, give the opportunity. Keep materials at hand, both basic materials like pens and pencils, but even things that they can try to work with letters, they can try to work with words, with rhymes, etc. Whatever you supply is possibility for them to use. Theatre and storytelling. It started with a retelling of the old fairy tale Billy Goat's Gruff. The story where you have 3 goats trying to cross a bridge, but underneath the bridge lives an old ogre and he won't allow them to pass. So it started with a teacher telling it with some hand puppets. Then the children could play with the same thing, but then the idea was started, how, if we did our own theater. The kids were all in, they worked out a theater scene, of course they made tickets and invited for the show.
ska de få ett riktigt djur. Ekorren Kurre i skogen.
Hej, vad heter du? Kurre?
Salamander.
Jag heter Ivi.
Och så springer Salamander iväg. Men Ivi stannar kvar. Och ekorren går i sitt bo upp i trädet.
Working in the language through memory training. While playing in memory, you don't have to sit still at the table. You can move around in the building, finding the cards in different positions. Then instead of returning the card, you go back to the teacher and tell them, describe the position where you found it. In that way, work in the language, describing positions, etc. Find your fish. It's a game where you have one picture on the front and a picture of a fish in a certain color on the back side. To find your own color of fish, you have to make questions concerning what is behind this picture, etc. and remember those things. Giant-sized story. With a big picture, you have the children to ask questions and think about the picture and look at details. Reading aloud. It's just more than just one adult reading for the children. Open up the book, let the children discuss and think and reflect on what they see, on words they hear, and in that way increasing the language even more. Rhyme with visual aid. One group worked with their 2.5 and 3 years old with rhymes. They were using rhymes that could work visually, like I want to sleep, said a sheep, or a cat in a hat. They worked it as well in table forms. We could fill in the missing words with the pictures. And you could also work with freestanding, like playing it like a memory game on the floor or something. In the final project of this presentation, the children created and recorded their own stories. They took the process from scratch, starting with writing a story on computers, then after that, creating the characters and the props they needed. Then, through a green screen technology, they played the show, and afterwards we added backgrounds and sound effects to it. And there is soon to come the grand premiere, but we'll give you a sneak peek of it.
Sagan om den lilla ostbiten. Det var en gång en sjungande räv som hette Rufus. Han brukar sitta på en bro vid en å och sjunga. Det är maj och fåglarna kvittrar. Rufus träffar musen Gustav som är Rufus kompis. Musen Gustav.
With this, we say thank you and hopefully welcome to Turku soon.